I smiled but didn't laugh, and continued to brag about her in a hypocritical manner. I kept on describing to her how touched and chappie David would be to see her, and raised her expectations. I know how much she was looking forward to it, and how desperate she was at the same time. For our relationship brain, who thinks of her precious boyfriend as her whole life, there is no greater torment than to be let down. An hour later, I dropped Annie off at her destination. Watching her back disappear into the hotel lift entrance, I raised my eyebrows slightly and picked up my phone to press 110. Hello. I want to report that someone called a prostitute in room 204 of the L City Hotel. In his last life, it was at this same hotel. After David called and told Annie to double up, the hooker who ordered it came on the door after half an hour. He was impatient, and after tossing and turning for 3 minutes, he decided he wasn't having fun and paid extra for the hooker to stay and wait for him to recover. David was weak. 3 minutes of exercise, 2 hours of recovery. Annie went up at exactly the right point in time for their intermission. The hooker was lying completely naked and half paralyzed on the bed, swiping her phone in boredom. When Annie, pretending to be a delivery boy, knocked on the door of David's room and took a few steps inside, she was able to see the scene in living color. And naturally, I didn't want to miss the fun. So I took the scarf Annie left in the car and followed her to the lift. I watched as she knocked on the door of 204 David's room. As she pushed the door open, slightly excited, she shouted the words, "Surprise." David's face turned white. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. His eyes flickered because of his weakness. He wanted to stop Annie at the door, but unfortunately, he couldn't. A few seconds later, 204, a sharp popping sound came out. Through the half-hidden door, I saw Annie's whole body shaking. Her eyes were instantly bloodshot and glaring horribly. Her hands couldn't stop trembling. Only her shaking fingers were seen, wiggling around. One moment, she pointed at the naked woman on the bed, and the other moment, she pointed at the man wrapped in a bathrobe with a weak heart. The woman on the bed didn't know why, and thought that David had ordered another whore on the spot, and muttered in a petulant voice to David with a displeased face, "Big brother, you play 3 people, have to add money, ah?" Annie immediately stormed. The whole person jumped on the bed, grabbing the woman's hair, tearing like crazy. "Bitch! How dare you seduce my man?" The other woman, but a vicious character from the lower class,